Paleo-Siberian tribal women were the keepers of the moon calendars, and they could accurately track the duration of pregnancy. Some moon calendars used counting sticks, and Mariachi directs our attention to these notched sticks, which have feminine characteristics. He believes that the notches represented counting, and the pendants were probably worn by women who identified with the fact that their bodies counted and marked time. Next is the Venus of La Salle, who holds a crescent horn notched 13 times, the same number of moons in a lunar year. 13 is also the day of a woman's cycle when she can become pregnant. Her other hand rests on her swelling belly. The knowledge of how to count and track the duration of a pregnancy using the cycles of the moon would be invaluable to Paleolithic women, because it could facilitate the planning and survival of Paleolithic women during the arduous journey into childbirth. Scientists say that La Salle was a ceremonial site. Was it also a meeting place for women to learn this knowledge? This thread continues to the island of Malta, 4000 BC, where exists one of the first stone temples ever built, and it's built in the shape of a woman's body which tells time. At the summer and winter solstice and the spring and autumn equinox, the sun's rays enter through the goddess's vulva and registers on the back walls. This temple is one of the world's first astronomical calendars. Also found at Malta is this statue of a woman in the birthing position with 9 marks on her back, which is the same number of moons during a human pregnancy. Similar sorts of earth structures are found from this megalithic big stone period. This one is found in Ireland at Newgrange, where the sun's rays penetrate the darkness of this womb tomb on the winter solstice. Today there is a renewed interest in trying to understand the meaning of these large megaliths. At any rate, this thread starts with a small feminine counting stick and ends with huge megalithic structures built to honor the feminine body as a way of counting time. Women goddesses as animals. Moving through the images of the goddess, we find her depicted with animals, particularly birds, lions and cats, cows, snakes and scorpions. Birds. Some say that this Paleolithic wall carving could be the first time the feminine is mixed with a hint of bird. Later in Old Europe, her neck elongates, her face becomes a beak, and she offers her breasts as nourishment. Her arms sometimes appear as small wings, or she wears the mask of a duck, sporting a crown, sitting with her hands on her hips as if she's an animated storyteller. In megalithic France, the owl goddess greets the dead at the entrance of a burial chamber. In Egypt, she takes full flight as her arms curl around her long neck and beaked head. And later she becomes the more formal Isis, wearing her hieroglyph, the throne, on her head. This is the throne from which all kings ruled. In Mesopotamia, she is Inanna or Ishtar and has large wings. She holds the rod and circle of measurement and wears the horns of consecration. She is standing on 2 lions, and flanked by owls. Then there is Baal, here seated on a throne of geese. In the Minoan culture of Crete is a calcite carving of Artemis. She has horns and is surrounded by winged creatures. The Etruscans give us their version of Artemis, and in Greece she is called Nike, or winged victory. Aphrodite rides on her goose and holds the sprout of regeneration and new life. Athena on one side of the coin, and her favorite pet, the owl, on the other. The bird goddess thread begins in the Paleolithic with a simple concept and travels widely to become a highly sophisticated image. Lions and cats. Çatalhöyük in Anatolia, now Turkey, is one of the first cities. Cats are played with and sat on. In fact, the first time we see someone sitting on the now famous lion throne, it is rather a large woman, and they are lionesses. In the land of Canaan, the priestesses of Ishtar wore necklaces bearing her image, shown here holding gazelles and snakes while standing on a lion. In Egypt, the lion goddess, Sekhmet, is seated on a throne. Her smaller counterpart, the goddess Bast, is shown as a woman with a cat's head, kittens at her feet, playing a sistrum. Or she is simply a cat, complete with earrings and necklaces. In India, the goddess Durga, with 10 arms, masters the technique of riding a lion while battling her enemies. And in Greece, Cybele continues the tradition of the lion throne, but now they appear to have manes. Cows. One of the earliest pieces of artwork is found in France, at Cheval Cave, from around 30,000 BC. The feminine is entwined with a lioness and a cow. It is hard to discern whether the cow is male or female, since both have horns. In Mesopotamia, Inanna and Ishtar's headdress is adorned with divine horns, as is her male consorts. In Egypt, Hathor is represented 2 ways: as a woman with a headdress of horns which holds the sun, or simply as a cow. The Minoan civilization on the island of Crete displays the sacred horns of consecration, and increasingly horns become associated with male power. However, in Europe, shadows of the horned goddesses were reflected in medieval costumes. In later textiles of Greece and the Balkans, historian Mary B. Kelly shows how the women still embroidered the old designs of Lady of the Beasts and the horned goddesses of the Tree of Life. Snakes and scorpions. Scorpions are fierce mothers. This early Mesopotamian plate from the Samara culture shows them surrounding a circle of women with flowing hair. In Egypt, Selket is seen with a scorpion on her head, protecting the tomb of King Tut, or she has a scorpion's body. Nekbet, the vulture goddess, and Wadjet, the snake goddess, were worn on King Tut's headdress for protection. Here are the famous snake goddesses of the Minoan culture of Crete. In Greece, Demeter holds snakes for transformation, poppies for medicine, and wheat for sustenance. Our symbol for medicine comes from the Greeks. In early societies, snakes were seen as symbols of regeneration and healing. They renew themselves by shedding their skins. Athena wears snakes coiled like ringlets around her neck. Another appears from behind her shield. The goddess makes her way to Gotland, wielding snakes as she sits in the birthing position, ready to replenish and rejuvenate this human species. The Aztec snake-headed Quetzalcoatl is called the Mother of the Gods, and Ixchel, the goddess of childbirth and medicine, wears a snake as a headdress. The North American Hopewell Indians constructed an earthwork known as the Serpent Mound, and it marks the summer solstice, but in addition, it marks the full moons as they rise and set. Were they marking times for human conception? Was there a connection with their southern Aztec neighbors and Ixchel and her snake? But the meaning of the snake would change. And why? And where is the goddess now? Well, her accoutrements have been transferred to the Madonna. In Oxford, England, Sophia is portrayed as the mother. She wears a crown, sits on the lion's throne, flanked by lionesses, and holding the sprout of new life upon which her bird is perched. This Mother Madonna is cradled in a moon, and her winged creatures are now angels that carry her crown. As the Immaculate Conception, she stands on the moon, and the meaning of the snake image has changed. Angels hold the sprout of flowers, and the bird, now a dove, hovers over her head. Ian Begg, in The Cult of the Black Virgin, states that at the time of the Crusades, original pagan statues were brought back from the East by returning warriors, and they were seen as Madonnas. Maybe the darkness of Artemis referred to the dark of the moon or the darkness of the earth, and it is easy to see how the statues of Isis and Horus from Egypt could easily have been seen as Mary and Jesus. And lastly, we see the Madonna, moon, snake, and bird, this time encased in the ultimate symbol of the goddess, the vulva. Even though Mary was relegated to the back of the spiritual bus, and the goddess a fertility figure, it was the research of 20th century scholars in women's spirituality that gave contemporary women knowledge about their vast history of the sacred feminine. For many women, the idea that they too are made in the image of the divine empowers them and gives them the ability to move in their lives with more confidence.